And Ed and Des join me now to preview the 4 preliminary quarter-finals in the Pettitts Senior Hurling Championship. And the first one is Oulart-The Ballagh against St Anne's. Ed, which way is this going to go?
Yeah, all 4 of them are going to be close, Peter, and you couldn't rule out anyone from winning it, and even a draw. Going on last year, Oulart had a good win, a great cameo performance by Nicky Kerwin that swung the tie, but I just noticed last Saturday night that the Anns are actually missing all of their 6 backs that played against Oulart last year, so that's a huge loss to them. But Oulart, of course, are missing Anthony Roach and Tommy Story and Peter Sutton. I think myself Oulart will win this one, and I think Gareth Sinnott will be a major threat now.
And Des?
Yeah, I'll be on similar lines. I think Oulart will probably win this by 3 or 4 points. As Ed said, the Anns are missing 6 of their backs there from last year, and Aaron Craig is a massive loss in the back line. But as far as I know, the injury situation in Oulart is pretty good, so they're apart from Anthony Roach, I think will be full strength, so I'll be picking Oulart by 3 or 4 points in this one.
And I'm going to make it a full house. I think St Anne's had a good win over Crossabeg Ballymurn, but I do think Oulart might just have a little bit too much for them in game 1. And then game 2 on Saturday evening is Ferns St Aidans against Feathered St Mogues. And Des, what are your thoughts on the game? How's it going to go?
This one I'm kind of to and fro a bit on this one. I think it's very evenly matched. Feathered have the highest out of any team I've seen in the championship. I think they have the highest work rate, and they'll need that if Ferns play the way they played last Sunday. Feathered are going to need that work rate. But I have a fancy for Feathered. I think they're one of the hardest draws to get at the minute, because they're after playing 2 weeks in a row now, and I just think I'd be tipping Feathered slightly, but it could go either way.
Ed?
Yeah, again, I'm like this. I really admire Feathered, and I think they've great work rate and all. The only Achilles heel that they have is that they concede goals. They're after conceding 7 goals in the last 2 games. It's very hard to win a game when you concede 3 goals. And I think Ferns do have a serious goal threat with young Dunbar and Diarmuid Doyle. I'm like this, I'm really torn on it, but something tells me that Ferns will score enough to win this game.
And I said last week that St Martin's could beat Ferns by 8 to 10 points, and I got it way wrong, and I do have the egg on my face this week, but I'm going to tip Ferns this week. I haven't been getting them right so far, so hopefully I'll get it right this week. So Ferns are my tip for this game. And the third game then on Sunday is between Cloughbawn and Fight Harriers. And Ed, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, Cloughbawn 25 points last Saturday in those conditions. That's phenomenal shooting. Bob Whitty, Paddy Whitty. I tell you, Cloughbawn are really, really working hard. They have 15 really, really good players, and Shane Keogh comes on and does his best. Harry Keogh was very good last week. Of course, the Harriers looked very impressive against Oulart, but last week Rathnure put a stop to their gallop. There's something about Cloughbawn when they get on a roll. Des will remember him 5 years ago. When they get on a roll, they're very hard to stop. And I'm going to tip Cloughbawn purely because Nancy Foley will have my goods for garters if I don't tip Cloughbawn this week.
And Des, how do you see it going?
Another very close game between Cloughbawn and the Harriers. I just think the Harriers need to go 15 on 15 in this match. I think the difference will be Leach in. If they play him maybe in the full forward line, I think Cloughbawn will have a lot to worry about, because he'll have the beatings. Barry Carton probably in there. If you play him out centre forward, Conall Flood, they're similar, athleticism. But something thinks that the Harriers might win this by 3 or 4 points, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cloughbawn won it. Cloughbawn are very strong. Harry Keogh and Bob Whitty and the brother, so I just go for Harriers by around 3 points.
And I'm going to go with Cloughbawn. I think they're just in better form at the moment. They've 2 wins in the group stages, and they only lost to the county champions, the Shelmaliers, by a point, so they should be very confident coming in here, and I think they might just maybe sneak what might be a surprise win to many here in this game. And the final game then is probably the game of the weekend. It's between two teams that in the last few years have certainly been up at the business end of the championship, and the loser will end up in the relegation, which no one would have predicted. But it's between St Martin's and Naveena. Ed, how do you see it going?
Well, this is the defining game of the championship, really. It reminds me so much of Oulart beating Rathnure a few years ago. Whoever will win this will feel they have a great chance of winning the county title. And when you study the 2 teams, they're very similar in ways. There's a lot of talent on both teams, and the obvious threat of Conor MacDonald. There's an equally obvious threat of Rory O'Connor. And I think at the under 21 final or under 20 final on Wednesday night, I think John Myler could do worse than call in Zach Furman. He looks a very energetic player, and he looks to be something that the Martins are really, really looking for. It's hard. It's a hard one to call, and either of them can win it. I just think that the Martins will sneak it. But then again, I would not be surprised if Gorey won it.
Des?
Yeah, it's a very hard one to call. Look at if we're going on last week's, I'd be saying Gorey are going to win this because there was just too much space in the full back line for the likes of a Conor MacDonald, Cottle Dunbar, Pádraig Doyle. If the Martins can change and maybe play not a sweeper, even just play somebody the centre back and the midfielder coming back and 5 forwards, they played with 6 forwards, and that kind of is gone out the window now. So I have a sneaky suspicion that the Martins, as I'd said, if they have Zach Furman, someone like that, very energetic, different type of player for the Martins, but who can offer so much busyness and going around the place, and he's very creative. Jake Furman probably come in as well, Kieran Ling. I'm going to go with the Martins, but it's a Conor MacDonald effect. If there's the space given that Ferns were given last week, Gorey will win it, but I'll go with the Martins hesitantly.
And I'm going to make it a full house, even though I do think it's going to be a very, very close game. I've predicted the Martins twice already, I think, and they haven't managed to get across the line on either occasion. I'm going to go with the Martins after extra time.